Whenever you start to examine a new data set, the first thing you should do is discover some basic facts about that data. Some of those facts could include the mean or average value, the median, which is the value that would appear in the middle of a list if it were sorted into order, and finally the mode, which is the most common value. In this movie, I will show you how to do all three of those things in Excel. My data list is here in cells A2 through A12, and it is a list of the number of days that shipments spent in transit. They might be coming in from an overseas factory, for example. To find the mean or average value of the days in transit numbers from A2 to A12, I need to use the average function. So in cell D2, I'll type equal, and then average, and then after a left parentheses, I will select A2 through A12, and my cells appear in the formula, type a right parenthesis to close it out, and press enter. Doing so reveals that the average of the values in cells A2 to A12 is about 30.2. So rounding down slightly, shipments spend about 30 days in transit. Now let's say that I want to find the median value. And once again, that is the value that would appear in the middle of this list if I were to sort it into order. So I'll go into cell D4 and type equal. And then I will use the median function, so MEDIAN. And once again, we're operating on the values in cells A2 to A12. Type a right parentheses to close the formula, and press enter. And you can see that the median value is 29. So if I were to sort these values into ascending or descending order, the number 29 would appear in the middle of the list. Now, I happen to know that this list contains an odd number of values, so that means that there will only be a single value in the middle. If you have an even number of values, then one number will be above the center and another number will be below. If those numbers are the same, then the median function returns that value. If they're different, say perhaps 29 and 30, then the median function returns the average of those values. So for 29 and 30, the average would be 29.5. The final measure of your data centrality that I will describe in this movie is the mode. The mode refers to the most common value that occurs in a data collection. Through Excel 2007, you could use the mode function to discover that value. So to demonstrate, I'll click in cell D6, type equal, then mode, and a left parentheses. Select cells A2 to A12, type a right parentheses, and press enter. And you can see that the mode, or most common value, is 28, according to the formula. But let's take a look at the data and see if that's actually the case. So I count the value 28 1, 2, 3 times, but I also notice as I'm scanning my data, which you should always do, that the value 29 also occurs 3 times. And the reason that the mode function returned 28 is because it is the first value that it encountered in the list. So if the position of these two values were swapped, then I'll make that edit now, 29 and 28. You can see that the mode is now 29. And I'll press Ctrl Z twice to undo my edits, and the mode switches back to 28. So let's say that I suspect that there are multiple most common values. In other words, values that are tied for appearing the most times within a data list. I can discover those values using the new function that was introduced in Excel 2010 called mode.mult. I'll go ahead and select cells D7 to D8. That will allow me to search for the 2 most common values in my data list. With those cells selected, I'll type equal mode.mult and select cells A2 through A12 and type a right parentheses. Mode.mult is what's called an array function. It's called an array function because you enter it into an array or set of multiple cells. In this case, I'm entering my formula into cells D7 and D8, which I selected earlier. To enter an array formula, I hold down the Control and Shift keys and press the Enter key. I'll go ahead and do that. And you can see that the formulas return the values 28 and 29 as being the two most common. If I had selected 3 cells, and I'll go ahead and delete the formulas in D7 and D8, and select D7 and D9, and now enter the same formula. So equal mode.mult A2 to A12, right parentheses, and once again Control Shift Enter. You see that I have 28, 29, and not available. And that's because 28 and 29 are tied for the most common, and there is no other value that occurs the same number of times as those other two, so we get the NA error message. Those are 3 basic measures of centrality that you can use to analyze your data in Microsoft Excel. But these functions aren't exclusive to Excel. You can find them in pretty much every other data analysis package available.